Beautiful humans, welcome back to another episode of the I Like Birds podcast. I'm your host, Zach Rippey, and this podcast is dedicated to the non-believers, the confused believers, and the true believers. Because I, at one time or another, was all three, and I'm here to help you get a better understanding of who Jesus is and what he's all about. Let's grow in our faith together. You learn as I learn. I like the Bible, and I like words, so therefore, I like birds. Let's start the show.
People, are you ready? Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Oh my goodness, we made it to another episode of I Like Birds. This one is going to be different. I got some cool things coming up, man. One of them is going to be a comedy show on September 12th. Please pray for me that I actually handle myself well on stage. It's been 7 months since I've done stand-up, and I'm actually going to go into it with a different mentality than I used to. It used to be jokes, it used to be some kind of, it was comedy. It was stand-up comedy. That's what I did, and I haven't done it in 7 months, and I'm on a whole new life journey, and I wrote out what I kind of want to say, and I kind of want to practice saying it, so I'm going to give it to you guys as a raw, uncut episode. It's basically my testimony, and so it may sound like I'm delivering it to an audience that is in a crowd that does not know me, so I think that's going to be cool. I was going to revise it so it can be just an episode, but I kind of want to practice getting in the rhythm of I don't know, and that's the thing. I'm not going to be able to do this word for word because it's 15 minutes on stage, right? So it's 15 minutes on stage. I haven't done stand-up in so long, so I haven't talked to people publicly in a very long time. I just got a job serving again, so I'm starting to get used to being around people again, so I think it's great that I started my job when I did, so that when I do get this opportunity next Saturday, hopefully I do pretty well, and hopefully I get some laughs, hopefully I make some people think, and hopefully I can put on for Jesus in a way like never before. And I'll be honest, man, I really miss stand-up comedy. I really do. It was a big part of my life. It feels like it's who I am. I don't want to walk away from being funny. I feel like I could use being funny as a way to reach people's heart. And I think that God made me funny for a reason. So I feel like the need to just get back on stage and just see what I can do. And honestly, just be honest as far as how my testimony was. And I sprinkled it up with some of the funny moments that happened throughout. And hopefully that brings people to the podcast, man. Hopefully that brings people to Jesus. Hopefully that brings people joy, and then, saving souls. That's what it's all about, really. So I'm giving it to you guys. This is my testimony. And so I'm going to come out on stage, right? She was like, all right, so text me what you want me to say before you come on stage. So I was like, all right, it has to be short and sweet because people's memories when they're hosting is not that good. They can barely remember from Tampa, Florida. So I have to make sure it's short and sweet, right? So she's going to say, hopefully, the next performer coming to the stage is on a new life journey, and he is so excited to share it with you. Please welcome Zach Rippey. Pretty simple, right? So then I come on stage, right? And then I hit him with this. I say, I have to share something with you guys that's on my heart. I have to be 100% honest with you guys that my 15 minutes on stage is going to be used for something other than just jokes. Before COVID-19, I used to be one of the most booked comedians in the DFW, and this is my first show in 7 months. And hopefully they clap right there. Guys, I did comedy for 3 years. I did it as my career for 2 of them. I worked hard, man. I was on stage 8 to 10 times a week. Most weeks I performed 5 to 6 nights of the week. And I produced my own shows at 4 weekly venues and 2 monthly ones. And I was basically always out of town. And then COVID hit. And I not only lost my part-time serving job, I also lost all of my comedy venues that were paying the bills, paying our bills. I not only felt the fear of no income, I felt the overwhelming weight of not being able to express myself. I'm married with 2 kids. One's named Noah, and the other one is Malachi. Or if you never flipped through a Bible, you might think his name is Malachi. That's what 7 people said to me after I posted his picture on Facebook. Oh my God, how's Malachi doing? That's not his name, Mom. Malachi, who is one, lives with me full-time with my wife and I, and my 7-year-old Noah comes and sees me in the summer, spring break, and winter break. And my comedy was gone. My career was gone. My sense of providing for my family was gone. And then my son, who I haven't seen in 4 months, had his spring break trip to come see me, and that was canceled because of all the shutdowns and just safety and all those things. I was lost. I felt like this life I built was crumbling. And at first it felt like a little break, a little vacation. But then Greg Abbott, is that his name? Greg Abbott announced the shutdowns in Texas, and I said, no more funny jokes and free Miller Lights. And I sat outside one day and I was looking at the sky and I was laying in my hammock one day when I got this idea. My friend Olivier, who I visited a few months prior, always had his Bible out at his house. And I asked him, I said, yo, why do you have your Bible out on the bed? And he said, because I read it. And he was so young. He was my best friend. How did I not know this about him or know that this is what he does with his free time? I mean, after all, I go to church almost every Sunday. I'm more of a Christian than he is. Or so I thought. I then went inside and I grabbed my naked Bible and I sat down outside and I started reading through Proverbs. I said, dang, I like these words. These are some powerful words. And if you don't know, Proverbs was actually written by the wisest man ever in the Bible named Solomon. So of course, they're going to be powerful. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to leave my Bible out. And then my wife said, you're going to leave your Bible in your room. So I took my Bible off the kitchen table and I put it in a tidy place because my wife runs my household. I then decided, man, every morning when my wife takes Malachi on a walk, I'm going to read the Bible. And I was just so curious about Jesus that I jumped straight from Proverbs straight into John. I read about 1 through 10 of Proverbs and went straight into John. And I read it every day. And my heart started to change. My heart broke when I read the words about what he did to him. My heart tore into a million pieces when I saw that they killed such a good man that had such a good message. And I had to find out more. Why did they kill him? Why? Like, what else about him did I not read in John? I have to know more. And I continued reading week after week. 3, maybe 4 weeks into reading it, I had this insane thought of being a pastor. I said, man, I'm a comic. I ain't no pastor. Then I ignored the thought and I just kept reading. A few days later, I felt the words touch my brain again. The words said, yo, you should do this. You should tell people about Jesus for a living. And I said, man, I've read this for like 4 weeks. I have no knowledge of this Bible, man. I can't be preaching to people. Then I sat down one morning and then it hit me again to the point where I had to say it out loud. So my wife and I went on a walk, and about halfway through the walk, I just bursted out the thoughts that I've been holding in for the last couple of weeks. And I told my wife, and she was surprised. She looked at me like I could do it with a surprised look on her face. And she told me to pray about it because that's a huge decision. And it is. So I prayed on it. And I said, God, if you want me to do this, show me a sign you want me to be a pastor. He showed me signs every single day. One of them I remember vividly was I was looking through my Bible, and in the back, there's a glossary of Christian terminology that is used in the word. And in the glossary, it had a word in it. The word was called calling. So I looked at the definition of calling, and next to it, I read to myself, when God directs an individual toward a particular vocation or area of service. And then it gave an example. It says, he believes God is calling him to be a pastor. And I said, whoa. So one day, my wife and Malachi then went to her mom and dad's house. And I then proceeded to have a day to myself of research. So I went outside with my laptop and I researched how to be a pastor. And I read so many blog posts, the requirements, and just spiritual wisdom from pastors all over. And it seemed overwhelming, but doable. It seems like, man, I can do that if I put my mind to it, my heart to it, and also if I ask God for help. I then was on a research binge and was like, man, what do other religions believe? And then I looked that up, and it was wild because I never really knew the differences. I just kind of went through life without really knowing, So I looked it up and I was like, wow, that's crazy. So after 2 hours of diving deep, I'm sitting there outside in my backyard. And I look to my right, and in the grass is the biggest snake I've ever seen that was not being held by some creepy dude at the fair. I see a snake that made me go, oh, snap. What? Catherine! She wasn't home. But my fear of the snake made me forget that. So I take a picture on my iPhone of this creepy snake and I send it to her, and she's not responding. So I call her and I was like, yo, what do I do? Do I kill this thing? Do I get my gun? Am I allowed to shoot a snake in the face in Texas? I know you're allowed in Florida. Don't fact check me on that, but come on, it's Florida. You're allowed to shoot a gun off in your backyard if it's at a snake or an alligator. So I get off the phone with her, right? And I look at this snake and it felt spiritual. I said to myself, is this the devil checking up on me? Is this the devil making sure I really want to switch teams? Is this the devil asking, am I still welcomed here? So I'm standing there in my Nike sandals, and I looked at this evil big snake, and I thought to myself, you aren't welcome here anymore, Sonny, and I won't let you stay here. And I did the only thing I knew how to do, and I picked up my foot, and I went to stomp on it, but then I got kind of scared, and I just kind of like, I did it like a wimp, and I flimmed my little foot. And I wish you guys could see me acting it out right now, because it's a lot funnier if you see with the way my foot is moving right now, but it was the most wimpy thing ever. And I said, get out of here. And then he stood up, right? And I stood up as he rose up in defense and attack mode. And then he slowly slithered away under my fence into my neighbor's yard. And it was the most insane moment I've ever had. I went inside and I was shook. I was like, dog, I gotta be a voice for Jesus. And then I told my best friend about wanting to pursue ministry, and he was so encouraging. Then I told my mom, and she was so supportive and truly believed I could do it. I then told my in-laws I wanted to pursue it, and they were so supportive, which was kind of important to me because I want them to know I can provide for their daughter and that everything's going to be okay with Malachi and everybody, right? And I got this revelation, right? I got this revelation to start a podcast about Jesus. And I came up with this concept for you, the listener. You learn as I learn. And I just share my journey as a new believer and as a voice for Jesus. And I fell so in love with him, and he's completely changed my life in so many areas, including my heart, my temptations, and most importantly, my future. And the podcast is called I Like Birds because I like the Bible and I like words. So therefore, I like birds. And there's a few other reasons why I named it that, and I love it, and you'll never forget it. I like birds. The impact of the show has been life-changing so far. So many people now know who Jesus is because of this podcast, and so many souls have been saved already, and the lives of these people listening every week has and will be changed forever. I'd love for you guys to pull out your phone and subscribe to it. I hope this comedy show has helped one person say, dang, Jesus sounds dope. And that's because he is dope. And I tell you why on this podcast, I Like Birds, every Tuesday and Friday. And I believe Shonda, the one that booked me on the show, asked me to do this show for a reason. Because last time, before we did this show, we prayed beforehand. And I had a great set last time and had so much fun. And I couldn't turn down the opportunity to tell people about Jesus. I hope I made you laugh. I hope I made you think. I am Zach Rippey. And I hope you investigate I Like Birds. And even better, I pray you investigate Jesus. So maybe something like that is what I'm going to do. I don't know if it's going to be that like calculated and goofy, but I think I'm just going to make it like sincere and from the heart and really just use my time wisely up there. And if I forget a part of the story, that's okay because, you know, I lived it. So, and I wrote it and now I set it into a microphone. I think I'll be fine. Some people, I told some friends of mine that I was going to do a comedy show soon and I haven't done one in 7 months. I'm doing 15 minutes and I'm going to go up there and do kind of like a testimony. They were like, man, you haven't done comedy in so long. Are you sure you're not going to like mess up or all this blah, blah, blah. You know, they basically threw some negative energy my way. And I said, I can do anything when I have Christ working through me. Okay. And then me and my boy Jeff dapped it up and we're like, some people aren't like us, you know? So I think it's going to be good and I'm hyped to do it. And if I fail, I failed, but at least I tried. I tried to put on for Jesus in my 15 minutes of fame, of stage time at Louisville Mall. It's a mall show and it's clean. So I figured, what's a better way to be clean than tell people about Jesus to clean their lives? Okay, I'm getting a little silly, but I hope you liked the episode. Let me know if you rocked with the testimony. I had a fun time doing it with you guys. I was just silly. That was the first draft, and I'm just going to give you guys the first draft. I'm not going to record that, re-record that. I might do it for my own practice, but I think it's funny the first way I did it. So hopefully you enjoyed it, man. A little fun, lighthearted episode for you guys this week as the Bird Talk or Sunday bonus, whatever I decide to do with this episode. But, hey, enjoy your day. Tell somebody about Jesus. Tell somebody about the show. Love you. Bye.